Expect white people to be racist. First and foremost, this is not an attack on those who identify as white, even if the label white is technically a misnomer. Obviously, not all white people are racist, at least not to the extreme, and many actively fight for the rights of black people. To those who stand in that gap, you are the real MVPs, and your efforts are appreciated. That being said, I have a message for black people. If saying expect white people to be racist sounds too harsh, then let's frame it this way. Do not be shocked when white people are racist. The generational shift in resilience. The reason I say this is because it seems many black people in the current generation are taken aback, shocked, and almost unable to process blatant racism when they encounter it. Older generations, particularly those who came up during the civil rights era, saw a massive amount of it. Back then, it was commonplace for black people to be called the N-word and all sorts of racial slurs. It wasn't a shock to the system to know that a white person was racist or talked trash about black people. It was the status quo. Fast forward to the 80s, 90s, and early 2000s, and for the most part, blatant racism became frowned upon. It still existed, of course, but it became a source of shame to be publicly racist. Society felt like it was evolving, becoming more progressive to the point where racism was presumed to be an outdated relic. Many believed the old racist generations would simply die out and be replaced by a new generation of colorblind progressives. The Great Regression. Something happened to cause a regression. Perhaps the internet and the freedom of anonymous speech provided a shield for people to speak without immediate consequences. One might also argue that the election of Barack Obama triggered a dormant resentment, followed by the election of Donald Trump, which many feel further emboldened a decline in race relations. This history matters because many younger black people, born in the 80s, 90s, or 2000s, grew up in an era where blatant racism was shunned. As a result, they may be less equipped to deal with what looks like an increasing level of public vitriol. While today's racism is generally not as in your face as it was in the 1960s, social media indicates a growing pocket of emboldened people who feel they can act out. We see it constantly online. Someone is exposed for blatant anti-black racism, and instead of universal condemnation, you find crowds in the comments cheering them on. You even see people attempting to use platforms like GoFundMe to raise money after losing their jobs due to racist behavior. Thankfully, most platforms have policies against rewarding hate speech, but the intent remains clear. Mental strength as a shield. My point is this. For young black people in particular, you might want to assume that a significant number of white people harbor some level of racism. This isn't about walking around in fear or paranoia. It's about mental preparation. It is about understanding that not everyone in the world is intelligent. Ignorance is a persistent force. People will continue to judge you based on the color of your skin to compensate for their own insecurities. There are those who hold on to propaganda and lies, claiming black people never had civilizations, written languages, or inventions, in a feeble attempt to feel superior. Often, these are individuals who are losers on their own merits and use race as a crutch to soothe a bruised ego. Don't give ignorance your power. This is not a call to tolerate disrespect. My personal stance on the N-word is controversial. I believe we have given that word too much power over us. However, we should view the current climate similarly to how people did in the 60s. Don't let racism be a shock to your system. Don't let it frighten you or paralyze you. Understand that while it may not be all white people, there are enough out there that you should be prepared for the possibility. Whether you encounter it in person or see it becoming increasingly prevalent online, stay guarded, stay prepared, and stay mentally strong.